The night had already given fans everything they came for. The lights had flashed across the stage, the music had filled the venue, and the final echoes of the concert were still lingering in the air when something completely unexpected began to capture attention away from the stage. Instead of another performance, another photo, or another carefully planned public appearance, the moment that started spreading everywhere was something much quieter and far more mysterious. Tian, Xuning and Ziyu were reportedly spotted having dinner together after the concert. What could have been an ordinary meal suddenly became the subject of intense curiosity, because when two familiar faces are seen together away from the bright lights and organized schedules, people naturally begin wondering what the moment might mean. There was no stage between them, no microphone, no performance to explain their interaction, and no carefully arranged spotlight guiding every movement. There was simply the atmosphere of the night, the exhaustion that follows a major concert, and two people apparently choosing to spend some time together afterward. That small detail was enough to send fans into a frenzy, with social media discussions quickly becoming filled with questions, theories, excitement, and emotional reactions. The timing itself made the sighting feel even more intriguing. Concert nights are emotional by nature. After hours of music, lights, cheering, and adrenaline, performers often step away from the public world and enter a much quieter space where the energy slowly begins to settle. The contrast can be striking. Only moments earlier, thousands of people may have been watching every movement on stage, reacting to every song and every appearance, but afterward, the atmosphere changes completely. The noise fades, the venue begins to empty, and the people who were at the center of all that attention can finally breathe. That is why the reported dinner sighting immediately attracted so much attention. Fans were not simply looking at two people sitting down for food. They were looking at a moment that seemed to exist outside the performance itself. It felt more personal, more relaxed, and more difficult to interpret. And because there was no official explanation attached to it, curiosity naturally filled the silence. What made the moment particularly fascinating was the fact that the reported sighting came directly after the concert. That detail created an emotional connection between the evening on stage and the quieter moments afterward. Fans could not help wondering whether the excitement of the concert had somehow carried into the night. Perhaps they were simply celebrating the successful event. Perhaps they were talking about the performance, sharing thoughts about the evening, or enjoying a meal before returning to their separate schedules. Maybe it was nothing more than two people who happened to be in the same place at the same time. But that uncertainty is exactly what made the story so addictive. There was enough information to spark interest, but not enough to provide a definite answer, leaving everyone watching the situation wondering what might happen next. As the reported sighting began circulating, the emotional reaction from fans became part of the story itself. Some were thrilled by the idea of seeing Tian, Xuning and Ziyu together in such a relaxed setting. Others were surprised by how quickly the moment gained attention. Some people focused on the simple sweetness of two familiar personalities sharing a meal after a long and exhausting concert night, while others began examining every available detail, searching for clues about the nature of their connection. The fascination did not necessarily come from knowing exactly what was happening. In many ways, it came from not knowing. When there is no official statement, no explanation, and no clear context, even a simple dinner can suddenly feel like a mysterious chapter waiting to be understood. There is something uniquely powerful about seeing public figures outside their usual environment. On stage, every detail can feel larger than life. Clothing, lighting, expressions, movements, and even brief glances can become part of a performance that thousands of people experience simultaneously. But sitting down for dinner is completely different. It is ordinary. It is human. It is one of those everyday moments that most people experience without thinking twice. And perhaps that is why the reported sighting resonated so strongly. The idea that after all the noise and excitement of the concert, Tian, Xuning and Ziyu could simply sit together, share a meal, and enjoy a quieter moment made the entire story feel unexpectedly intimate without necessarily revealing anything beyond what was actually observed. The atmosphere surrounding the evening only added another layer of mystery. Imagine the concert ending, the final lights disappearing, and the crowd slowly moving away from the venue while the city outside continues glowing beneath the night sky. Somewhere beyond the stage and cameras, conversations continue. People replay their favorite moments from the concert. Some are checking their phones, some are sharing photos, and others are already talking about what happened after the show. Then suddenly, news begins appearing that Tian, Xuning and Ziyu were seen together having dinner. A moment that might have gone unnoticed under different circumstances suddenly becomes one of the most talked about details of the night. The transition from a massive public event to a quiet meal creates a cinematic feeling almost by itself. And that is where the imagination of fans begins to take over. Was the dinner planned in advance? Was it a spontaneous decision after the concert? Were they celebrating something? Were they simply catching up? Did they discuss the performance? Did they talk about future projects, upcoming schedules, or completely ordinary things that had nothing to do with the entertainment world? There are countless possibilities, but without confirmation, none of those possibilities can be treated as fact. What remains is the sighting itself and the emotional response it created. That distinction matters, because sometimes the most fascinating stories are not about what we know, but about the questions surrounding what we do not know. The reported dinner also highlights how quickly a quiet personal moment can become a major public conversation when celebrities are involved. A normal meal for most people can become a trending topic when recognizable names are attached to it. Fans begin comparing details, searching for photographs, discussing timing, and wondering whether the appearance was completely coincidental or part of something more meaningful. Yet behind all that speculation, there are still two people who may simply have been enjoying a meal after a demanding night. That human side should not be forgotten. Public attention can transform ordinary moments into extraordinary stories, but the people inside those moments may experience them much more simply. For Tian, Xuning and Ziyu, the night may have felt very different from the way it appeared online. After the intensity of a concert, there is often a sense of relief that cannot be captured by photographs. The stage disappears, the applause fades, and the pressure of performing begins to loosen. Dinner can become a small pause between one demanding moment and the next. It can be a chance to sit down, talk, laugh, relax, and simply enjoy the fact that the day is almost over. Whether there was any deeper meaning behind their reported meeting is something only they could truly know. Fans can wonder, discuss, and react, but the reality belongs to the people who were actually there. Still, the emotional significance of the moment cannot be ignored. The fact that fans cared so deeply about the sighting shows how invested they are in the journeys of these personalities. People do not react so strongly to every celebrity dinner. They react when a particular combination of names, timing, and circumstances touches something they already find fascinating. For many fans, seeing Tian, Xuning and Ziyu together after the concert may have felt like an unexpected bonus at the end of an already memorable night. The concert had ended, but the story seemed to continue beyond the stage. Perhaps that is why the reported sighting felt so different from a typical event appearance. At an official event, everyone knows where the cameras are. There are schedules, invitations, press coverage, and a clear reason for everyone to be present. But an after-concert dinner carries a different atmosphere. It suggests a moment away from the official spotlight. Even if the meeting was completely innocent and ordinary, the setting itself creates a sense of mystery. Fans naturally wonder what conversations might have taken place after the cameras were no longer focused on them. There is also something emotionally compelling about the idea of ending a huge night with something simple. The concert represents energy, ambition, performance, and public attention. Dinner represents calm. Between those two worlds lies a small moment where the excitement of the evening can settle into something quieter. Maybe they talked about favorite parts of the concert. Maybe they laughed about something that happened backstage. Maybe they were simply tired and hungry. Maybe they were surrounded by other people and enjoying a completely casual meal. The possibilities are endless, and that uncertainty is precisely what keeps the story alive. As discussions continued, the internet reaction became almost as fascinating as the original sighting. Fans who had been focused on the concert suddenly found themselves talking about what happened afterward. People began revisiting the evening, wondering whether there had been subtle moments during the event that they had overlooked. A glance here, a shared moment there, a particular expression, or an unexpected appearance could suddenly seem more interesting in retrospect. This is how viral celebrity stories often grow. A small detail becomes a question, the question becomes a theory, and the theory creates an entire conversation that can continue long after the original moment has passed. But there is an important emotional line between curiosity and certainty. A reported sighting can be exciting without automatically proving a relationship, a secret plan, or a hidden story. Sometimes two people having dinner together really is just two people having dinner together. The excitement comes from the possibility, not from an established conclusion. That uncertainty allows fans to enjoy the moment while leaving space for reality to speak for itself if the people involved ever choose to share more. What makes the story especially memorable is how naturally it fits the rhythm of a concert night. The stage provides the spectacle, the audience provides the energy, and afterward comes the quiet. That quiet is where unexpected moments can happen. It is almost as if the evening had two different chapters without anyone planning it that way, one filled with music and public excitement, and another filled with a quieter atmosphere away from the stage. The reported dinner became the bridge between those two worlds. And perhaps the biggest reason people cannot stop talking about it is that it feels like the kind of moment that could easily have remained private. If no one had noticed, the night might have ended normally. But once the sighting became known, the entire meaning of the evening changed for fans watching from the outside. Suddenly, the concert was no longer the complete story. There was something afterward, something unexpected, something that made people pause and ask what else might have happened when the spotlight moved somewhere else. The emotional pull becomes even stronger when you imagine the contrast between the public and private sides of the night. On stage, every movement is visible. Afterward, the world becomes quieter. The bright lights are replaced by restaurant lighting. The roar of the crowd is replaced by ordinary conversations. The pressure of thousands of eyes disappears, at least temporarily. In that setting, even a simple shared meal can feel like a completely different kind of moment. It is not necessarily dramatic because of what happened. It is dramatic because of how different it feels from the world everyone had just witnessed. For fans, that difference can create a powerful sense of closeness. They may never know what was said at the table, what they laughed about, or how long they stayed. Those details remain private, but the mere possibility that two people they admire shared that quiet space after such an intense evening can feel strangely meaningful. It gives fans another piece of the story, even if that piece raises more questions than answers. And now the biggest question hangs over the entire situation. Was this simply an ordinary post-concert dinner, or is there something more behind the timing? There is no reason to assume more without confirmation, but there is also no denying that the possibility is what makes people curious. The story has created a mystery without needing a dramatic announcement. No grand statement was required. No major revelation was necessary. Sometimes all it takes is an unexpected sighting at the right moment. The night may have started with thousands of people watching a concert, but it ended with thousands more watching their phones, reacting to a completely different kind of moment. The stage lights went dark, but the conversation continued. The music stopped, but the speculation grew louder. And somewhere in the middle of that transition, Tian, Xuning and Ziyu reportedly shared a dinner that became one of the most talked about details connected to the evening. Maybe the real beauty of the moment is that it does not need to be exaggerated. It can remain exactly what it was, a surprising and memorable sighting after an unforgettable night. Whether it represented friendship, celebration, coincidence, or simply two people enjoying dinner together, the moment captured attention because it felt spontaneous and human. In an entertainment world filled with carefully planned appearances, unexpected ordinary moments can sometimes become the ones people remember most. As the conversation continues, fans will undoubtedly keep looking back at the concert and wondering whether the evening contained clues they missed. They will revisit images, discuss the timing, share their reactions, and debate what the dinner might mean. Some will see it as a sweet moment of companionship. Others will remain cautious and wait for more information. And some will simply enjoy the excitement of seeing two familiar names connected in an unexpected setting. All of those reactions are part of what turned a simple reported dinner into a viral conversation. But beneath the excitement, there is something much more universal about the story. After every performance, every celebration, every exhausting day, there comes a moment when people simply want to sit down and breathe. The lights eventually fade. The crowd eventually leaves. The noise eventually becomes silence. And in those quiet hours after a major event, even the smallest human connection can feel meaningful. Whether or not there is a hidden story behind Tian, Xuning and Ziyu being seen together, the image of two people sharing a meal after a concert carries that simple emotional truth. Perhaps that is why this moment continues to capture attention. It does not give everyone the answer they are looking for, and maybe that is exactly what makes it unforgettable. The story leaves a door slightly open, inviting curiosity without providing certainty. It gives fans something to talk about while reminding everyone that behind the glamorous stages and endless cameras are people who also have ordinary evenings, private conversations, laughter, tired moments, and simple meals. And as the night slowly disappears into memory, one thing remains clear. The concert may have been the official event, but the unexpected dinner became the moment everyone wanted to talk about. What began as a quiet post-concert sighting transformed into a wave of excitement, curiosity, and emotion. Whether this was simply a friendly dinner or the beginning of a story that fans will continue following, the mystery itself has already captured the imagination of countless people. The lights may have gone out at the venue, but the questions surrounding that dinner are still glowing brightly online, leaving everyone wondering what happened after the cameras stopped rolling and whether this unexpected moment will remain just a memorable night or become the beginning of something much bigger.